Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. And today whatever I am doing the video about the law and what is law. This is the basic question in the legal jurisprudence, and I am going to do it for intellectual pleasure and not for any kind of the exams. It's going to be very much important. I don't know if you are a student of law. I'm just reading, I'm just analyzing it in a very various perspective by taking the various subjects just to help you out. If you wish to become a good lawyer, or if you wish to understand the legal jurisprudence, or if you are doing LLM in these subjects, it might going to help you. Take your discretion of conscience to like, share and subscribe. And today in this session, let us basically come to what is law. Law means what? So if I ask you, what is car? What you tell? Rather than defining the car, you just tell about its utility. What is the utility of the car? Just for a transportation. So by understanding the utility, you can define much kind of the subject. Law is also such kind of the subject in which if you could able to find the utility of the law, you could able to define it in a very good manner. So now first let us define what is law. So law is nothing but law means it is just a tool or a social engineering or a device or a tool or anything which is to manage and maintain the social harmony or a society. For example, in the society, a lot of people live in the society. Without law, they can do anything and everything. For example, just for one day, if the traffic police is not there, no one will going to wear the helmet. Just like if you just imagine about the lawless society. So you can kill anyone, you can do anything and everything. If you read the philosophy of Thomas Hobbes, see a very interesting feature that the innate nature of the human being. What is the innate nature of the human being? He tells that the innately every human is a kind of the beast. Everyone want to dominate the others. And if you read the Darwin's theory, survival of the fittest. Like if without law, we would start fighting one against another. So law is majorly is a device or a tool or a kind of social engineering which is to maintain the society as a whole. So this is the utility of the law. It is the utility of the law, and there are various scholars who give the various definition about the law. What is meant by law? So the first scholar is that the Austin. What Austin is that defined is that he tells about the law is the command of the political sovereign which has a legal sanction. What is this definition? What is the meaning of that? So let us understand that. So I already talked about the what is meant by this one, sovereignty and the state in my last video. And if you wish, you can go through that video. And today's in this session, let us not once again go through that. You can click back over that. And today's in this session, let us see about this one. Law command means what? And what is sovereign, and sanction means what. So any law, if it needs to be applicable, I can also make a one law. Can I able to make a one law? I am an individual without having any kind of the political power. Can I make a law? Definitely not. In the present time of the constitution, Austin comes in the around 1640s. So at that time monarch was there in the UK. But in the present democratic system or a present time, law can be made by those people who are the representative of our will. Means we do give vote and we do elect them, and they sit in the parliament or state legislature. They make the laws. So law means when the bill gets the sign of the president, it acts as a law. What constitutes the law? Is it a constitution is a law? Yes, definitely constitution is a law. Is this one rules and regulation made by the executive is a law? Yeah, these rules and regulation made under some kind of the laws that is called as delegated legislation. For example, Data Protection Act 2023. There are various rules and regulations. They also act as laws, like how to govern the data. Everything are there. So Motor Vehicle Act, there are various rules are there, rules and regulations. Because since as the time changes, laws also needs to change. So we make some kind of the rules. They are all done by those who are the political representatives. So in the time of Austin in the UK, there was a king. He used to make there was also a parliament after the Glorious Revolution around 1656. I don't remember the date exactly. But that time, law was being done through the parliament approval. King was the final authority is that. So what he tells, Austin, what he tells, Law is the command. Command means this one. Law is command means what to do and what not to do. For example, Motor Vehicle Act. You have to wear the helmet. Data Protection Act, and you should not do like steal others' data. So everyone have to. You cannot do cyber security attack on others. So that is what Data Protection Act talks about. So how to protect the data of the people. So the Dowry Prohibition Act, you should not take the dowry. So what the law tells about is that what to do and what not to do for the people. So this is how the liberty of the everyone gets maintained in the society. So I can say that is what the meaning of the command. Command over the subject. Subject means citizens. So for whom the laws are being made? Laws are being made to the subjects by sovereign. Sovereign means what? I already told that those who are being get elected by the people, they are called as sovereign. Sovereign means the capability to take a very independent decisions. It is also equivalent in the life too. We have to take the decisions many times independently without considering or constraining by the others, or without any restraint by the others. We have to take the decisions independently. So also like that, the nation state also have to take the decisions very independently without any kind of the interference of the others. So sovereign, it has a sanction. Sanction means what? What is meant by sanction? Sanction means if you break the rules, you are going to get punished. So I wrote it in, sorry for my handwriting, punishable if they don't follow the laws. For example, Motor Vehicle Act, Data Protection Act. You take any kind of the act, Dowry Prohibition Act, and the POXCO Act, like prohibition of this one, Sexual Wash Act, Sexual Harassment Act. If you do anything and everything under this, you are going to be punishable. That is what called as sanction. Sanction means you are under the ambit of that law, because the laws are applicable on those who are being elected by you. Okay, you are going to elect one person. You tell them that you can make the laws on us. We will going to abide by this. If I have to tell it in a very reductionist or a very simple or a layman term, so I do elect a lot of people, ministers, and I do elect MPs. Okay, they are become the ministers and they make the laws, and that law is applicable on myself and others. In the whole society it is applicable. If I break that law and I am going to get punished, that is what the sanction is all about. That is what the legal sanction is about. So what Austin tells is that law is the command over the subject by the sovereign, which has a legal sanctions. So when I talk about the legal, you might be thinking about, is legal and the morality is the same? Legality and the morality is the same? No, definitely not. Moral means it is developed over the human consciousness of the society. For example, there are various moral rules, like literally if you in India we don't literally eat this one beef, cow beef is banned, buffalo beef is allowed, but in the Goa, Kerala, if you go there, buffalo beef is allowed, but not the cow beef. Okay, then but if you go to the USA, everything is very much common. So what is that? It is our morality. Morality comes through the religion. Morality comes through our own conscience, or our own how we look at the society, how we experience the society. So different part of the world, different part of the region having a different set of this one moral rules. So morality and the legal might not be the same. Many times it is similar. For example, patriarchal society or a gender inequality. Around 40 to 50 years back, there is no equal share between the men and the women. So legally it was correct. Morally also it is correct. Now if you ask any kind of the elders, they tell you morally it is not correct, because our Shastras, Dharma Shastra or Manusmriti, it does not sanction property for the women. But at the same time, legally, they are in 2005 Act, if you Hindu Succession Act, if you go through that, women given the equal share means legally valid, morally not valid. So there may be a contradictions, but if you break any kind of the moral rules and regulations, you are not going to get punished from the state. Okay, but you may get punished from the parents or the social customs, customary moralities, you may get going to get punished, which is very much illegal. But you are not going to get punished from the this one state authorities. That is what the legal sanction is all about. So there is a difference between legality and morality. So when we talk about there are various realms or paradigms of laws. For example, you might be asking about, so here he tells about the law is a command over the subject by the sovereign which has a legal sanction. What Austin talks about. There are, you might have heard about the international law. If you take about this one, there are NPT, nuclear law, environmental law. If you go to UNFCCC Kyoto Protocol is there, lot of protocol, lot of laws are there, UN laws to maintain the ocean. Don't you think that, isn't it a contradictions? Isn't it not a contradiction at least? But definitely not. How it is going to be contradictions? Because how it is not going to be a contradictions for our sovereignty? Any international law, if it able to applicable on our territorial jurisdiction, means that it should be ratified in the parliament. Then only that international law is going to be valid. Any law you can take that international laws. It is not applicable on us or any of us unless it has it is being ratified by the parliament. Okay, that is this one. Which one? This is how our sovereignty not being threatened under the international law. So international law paradigms are there. For example, Parliament can also make a law. United Nations, what it makes, it is also maintained. It is called as international law. It is to maintain the nation states. There are more than 190 countries. You need to maintain all the countries. Otherwise, there is a conflict, war. There are various laws related how to make a war. So nuclear, chemical weapons, biological weapons, how to use that, how to not to use that. So there are laws to govern all those things. All those stuffs are there. So this is what the Austin theory talks about. So I just briefly explained this one also. I am going to explain one more time this one at the end. So this one, then the Salmon. Salmon, what he talks about is that there are various scholars criticizes the Austin. There are various criticism is there because laws does not take consideration into this one legal moral customs, social customs, as well as what he does not limit the power in the modern constitution. At that time when there was Austin, there were no modern constitution. It means now independent judiciary is there, various phenomena like RTI Act, these and all limiting the power of the state. So what he explained is that he given the absolute power for the sovereign, but not at all true that what the present modern constitution, which is also limitations, which acts as a limitation over this kind of the things, over the lawmaking power of the sovereign. Then now comes this one. Okay, now comes the Salmon. What Salmon tells about that? Salmon criticizes this one, Austin, and he gave various concepts that are he tells laws are the principles, rules, regulations, and enforced by the state for the administration of the justice. So why laws, moral means of the end of the law, if I can means and end of the law, is that to provide the justice for the society. We all love to be in a fair and the just and the egalitarian society as a whole. So it is our expectation or idealism of the human that we need to live under the peace. So he tells that laws are enforceable by the state or which is legitimized by the state, as well as which one has to administer the justice. What is meant by justice? Justice means what? Justice means everyone get kind of the good kind of the things or a fair benefits within the society. If someone make the wrong kind of the thing, if someone steal your car, the stolen person needs to get punished so that you get the justice, you get the benefits. So if someone trespass your house, he or she get the due punishment. So that is what the justice is. Why law is made? Law is to make for the providing of the justice. That is what the Salmon talks about that. And the various scholars give the various opinion about the law. And as far as my knowledge is concerned, or I have the limitations, so law is nothing just to govern the society or the psychology. You need to control the psychology of the human. For example, criminal laws. For example, if you do such kind of the heinous crimes such as rape, murder, you are going to get punished for the minimum of 10 years. So for that, what it acts as a deterrence or a prohibition on the psychology of the human beings, that if I do some such kind of thing, if I kill some other person, I am also going to get punished by the state, so that I don't do that. So it acts as a deterrence on me. So that law, what it tells, law controls the citizens, law controls the psychology of the human being. That is what the law is. That I don't think so it is that in any books. I just get the definition. So I am just telling that. So now comes the function of the law. So what are the functions of the law? Functions means that what is the utility of the law? As I already told, to maintain the society as a whole, and also to this one, to give the freedom for all the citizens, or a liberty for all the citizens. For example, Motor Vehicle Act is there. Okay, so I have to follow some kind of the rules and regulations when I'm going in the road. So for example, if some individual have a 4,000 horsepower engine and he rides in the road in 250 km/h. So what happens? There is going to be accident. So from that accident, what's going to happen? That's going to be collapse of the system. Like many people may get died. So he or she needs to punish those who are going in the 250 kilometers, so that maintain the liberty or freedom of the others. So I have the right to speech. Okay, if I put a loudspeaker, or if I go in between the street and started shouting like anything and everything, then what happened? Liberty of the other people might get threatened. So what is the major feature of the law? To maintain the liberty, to give rights. Rights is a very prominent in the present society. For example, right to information. What is that? We are giving the right, so that what I am doing is that I am empowering you politically or socially. I am empowering. That is also kind of the function of the law. Law has various functions, and also law is also, I already told that law is to govern the society. So like that, law also put in the present time, for example, constitution. Constitution is what? Whole constitution is all about the laws. So it also limits the power of the sovereign. Okay, in the ancient or in the medieval times, when we look at the Anglo-Sphere region, there are no such limitation. The king has absolute power till 1650s or till 1700 also. During the French Revolution, France 1789, and or for example 1791 in the US, various changes have been take place. Before that, if you look at the political history of the time, there were no limitation. The present constitution, for example, fundamental rights. What is that fundamental rights is all about? Fundamental rights. What is this fundamental rights is all about? That limits the power. For example, Article 21 says arbitrarily you need to follow the procedure established by law to take your life. For example, you can give the death penalty. State also can give you the death penalty, but it must be follow the rule of law. You cannot give death penalty the will and wish of the state. So you need to be check. There is a check and balances for the present time. That is all about the negative laws in the fundamental right from Article 12 to the Article 35. If you go through that, there are various checks and balances over the state. These are the negative laws. So positive laws means what? Positive laws tell the state to do such kind of acts. For example, Dowry Prohibition Act, Data Protection Act, various acts are there. So these and all what? These are the positive laws. Tells if you don't follow that, you are going to get punished. What Austin tells. So that is also one of the function of the state. So function of the state is to protect the citizen at the end of this one, and function of the state, function of the law is to what? Administer the justice, to make a just and fair society. This is the whole comprehensive scheme of laws. Okay, fine. There are several criticisms of the law. So when we look at it, law tend to be uniform. Law does not discriminate, which is very good. Okay, law claims that it is egalitarian, it is uniformly applicable over the society, and it follows some kind of the rule. Then it is called as rule of law. But at the same time, we are a diverse set of human beings. For example, there are rich and poor. For example, if you go through, if you are not wearing the helmet, if a poor person, for example, his daily wage is 1,000 rupees. Okay, one more person, his daily wages, daily earning is about 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs. So if you put the fine of 1,000 rupees, for the person who is earning 2 lakh or 3 lakh, it does not act as a deterrence. But the person who is having who is earning 1,000 rupees, it is going to threat his own kind of the this one innate functionality, because he cannot use, he cannot survive, he or she cannot survive for that day if his earning is only 1000 rupees. So there are various criticisms, there are various customs, morals, rules and regulation. For example, if you go to that Hindu society, there were kings who used to marry 2 or 3. But what law says, you need to follow the monogamy. There is no polygamy. So what is it? Isn't it contradiction to the customary morality? Isn't it contradiction to our religious morality? For example, Shabrimala case you take. If you take the Shabrimala case, the what law says, you should not be discriminated even in the public places based on gender. Okay, even in the rest of this means it is equally applicable to temples too. But in Shabrimala, you are not being allowed from the age of 15 to 59. But this is not the customary morality, but the laws is contradictory to that. There are various diverse features. If you look at the tribal region, there are also polyandry. If you go to Tamil Nadu, some tribes are there. They marry, they believe that they are the generation of this one from the Kurukshetra, like belongs to the Mahabharata tradition. So one woman marries the 5 men. So isn't it contradictory to the customary morality and the laws and the this one antithetical, or there is a various juxtapositions between the laws and the customary morality and the traditions. So there are various criticism of the laws. Laws are very much static in nature. For example, Data Protection Act 2023. It was drafted in 2018. It took around 5 years to become a law. When it became a law, there is no clause for artificial intelligence, deepfakes, how you are going to maintain and manage. Okay. Now they are making some kind of the provisions like the rules and regulations being made, but there are no still laws about that. The technology is changing like anything and everything. It is taking in a very fast phase. But the law is very much static. So if you make the laws, if there are various technology in the kind of the technologies, various technological disruption erupts, then what is being used? Then there may be a various kind of the technologies. No one can able to make the laws. So then what happens? For example, this one now this is coming like artificial babies. You can produce the babies in labs. So who will going to care for that? Is it the state? No. Genetically modified crop. So if you make that such kind of a crop, if it having a reverse impact, if you allow that, what kind of the impact has? How can we make the laws? In the technological realm, it is becoming very. For example, patents. If you take the patents. In India, we are still governing in 1957, like Copyrights Act. So, if you do any kind of the books written by artificial intelligence, or if it copied your research, how do you make the patent laws? So, there are various kind of this one struggling is that, like how we make the law with the dynamic, with relatable to the time of the space, time of the society. So, how we make it more dynamic? It is very much slow. It is very much gradual process. So how can we make that? There are various criticisms that it is also having some kind of the function. In the next video, let us see about this one. Legal jurisprudence means what? Legal jurisprudence, I will tell you that how we make this law. How we make this law, this one dynamic, and how we make this law from the time of society. If we make how we, the society is changing in a very rapid phase, how we are going to make that to how we analyze the law, how we interpret the law based on the changing nature of the society. That is what the legal jurisprudence, how we analyze it. And let us go in the next video in a very in-depth manner. And if you don't able to understand what is law and these kind of the definitions, you are not able to going to get understand what is meant by legal jurisprudence. So in the next video, let us going to do about what is meant by legal jurisprudence, and have a wonderful day ahead. Goodbye.